order. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Welcome back to those who traveled. First of all, I need to get a motion to approve the minutes of the October 24th meeting. Thank you, Linda. Second by Betty. Any revisions? Okay, all those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, we have our first informational item, and that is our PCAPS monthly report. Welcome, Becky. Do you have anything to report?
No, as usual, I don't have anything to add, but I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Would you mind just, I know you were out last week doing some educating in Chicago. Would you mind just filling everybody in on what that was about?
Sure, absolutely. So I am certified with the Illinois Animal Welfare Federation to teach euthanasia by injection. So the Illinois Animal Welfare Federation is certified to present that course in the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois certifies euthanasia injection technicians, and I'm one of the two instructors that we have in the Federation. It's a group of, the Federation itself is a group of animal shelter and animal control administrators that come together in a nonprofit organization for education and to drive legislation in Illinois. And so as a part of the mission of that group, I teach euthanasia by injection. We graduated last week a group of 25 euthanasia technicians, and they will then go on to file with the state and become certified in that field.
And I think, happy to report, I know I'd asked you that Chicago's having less euthanasia now than they've had in the past. So.
Yes, absolutely. Through partnerships with transfer agencies, they've made wonderful strides to move animals out of their shelter.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I know it's a necessary evil to have to provide that service, but I'm glad that there's less of it happening. So.
Well, it's a necessary evil, but it's also a gift. When you see some of the condition that the animals come into, come in our care, certainly it's a gift. Specifically wildlife as well, to end suffering, to end of life sometimes can definitely be a gift.
It's a good perspective. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Becky? Okay. Next, we have our workforce report.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. This is found on page 7 in your packet. This is for activity through the end of October of this year. Top third of the page, as always, looks at applicants and hires during that period, and then obviously year to date. The middle third represents the ethnicity of our workforce and the demographics of our workforce. And then the bottom third looks at separations, comparing current year to last year. Happy to answer any questions the committee might have.
Any questions? So do we have a status on, I know we were going to hire another position under the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer?
So a job description had to be drafted and point factored and then taken to our internal employee-led Hay Committee. They've either met right before Thanksgiving or it's going to the one in the month of December. Once that gets assigned a point factoring by the committee and then a wage scale assigned to it, then we'll start advertising for that position.
Okay. Do you have like a projected possible on date?
I think it would be mine and Andre's goal to try and have somebody on the payroll by late January, early February, but it'll just depend upon the quality of the applicants we see.
Sure. Okay. Linda?
Scott, could I have a copy of the job description, please?
That one or the chief DEI officer or both? Both. Sure, you bet.
Thanks.
Steve?
Is that a shared role, that position, or is that 100% for the DEI position?
It is a line staff position that is 100% DEI in focus.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Next, we have a joint resolution. My glasses back on here. Joint resolution for the appropriation of a request from John L. Becker Trust into the PCAPS fund. Could I get a motion to put this on the floor, please? Linda, in a second. Thank you, Betty. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, this is a joint resolution because it requires a budget amendment. So this will be coming to your committee today and then also to the Finance Committee tomorrow. Just a little background. So the John L. Becker, Trust approached the Humane Society and PCAPS and stated that there was a $110,000 bequest that was made to PAWS. So you'll recall when the operations transferred from the city to the county, PAWS was no longer a legal entity and the successor entity became PCAPS. So with that, because the trust was set up to give the bequest to PAWS, we needed to do some paperwork associated with that. So neither Becky nor myself nor Scott had the legal authority to accept and sign that money over. So in talking with the family, it was realized that the intent of the bequest was to go towards Humane Society type activities, not necessarily government activities. And so with that, we are asking that the board authorize the county administrator to accept the payment, appropriate the $110,000 into the budget line item for the expense, and then we will issue payment to the Humane Society with the understanding that there will be some of that coming back in the form of donations, similar to how we currently operate with the Humane Society itself as well in all these situations. So right now we're just looking for the ability to accept the money and get it appropriated so then we can make that payment to the Humane Society in keeping with the intent. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. If there's any questions for Shauna, we'll take those now, and then I'd like to welcome our guests from the Humane Society if we have questions for them. So if anybody has any questions for Shauna? No? Okay. Oh, yes. The transaction to happen?
So for the actual transaction, it will require full board approval. So it will go to next week's county board meeting. And then once that's approved, that gives us authorization to negotiate and sign all the related documents. Once those are executed, then we'll issue a payment. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve.
We're asking for 2022, and then we'll get the right document signed. And then at that point, we would anticipate, as long as all the documentation is signed, in the next few weeks, we would get that payment issued.
Yeah, Junior, have any questions? All right. All right. Thank you, Shauna. Like I said, we have a couple guests. We have Lise, is it Mundwiller? Got it. She's the president of the Humane Society board. And we also have Kitty Yanko. Your first names, I know right off the bat, last names. She's the director of the Humane Society. So we'd like to welcome you to the board meeting. We have a long relationship with the Humane Society. We share property and buildings, and definitely we share a common goal to do what's best for our community, including the animals in our community. So you're welcome to come up and take the mic if you have anything to say, or if anybody has any questions for them.
I'm Lise. I just want to thank Rob and the board members that we have spoken to with our concerns to help resolve this issue. The Humane Society is very committed to the animals and to the shelter, and have been since our inception back in the late 80s, when we partnered with the city, the county, and ourselves, and became co-owners of the shelter, the property. And we believe in taking care of the animals first and foremost. That's what we have done always. We have always supported the shelter when it was run by the city, and now since it's been run by the county. What I will say, and I've said this at many county board members or county board meetings in the past, that I feel it has never been run so well as it has since the county took it over. The county jumped to it immediately when the city decided to not run the shelter anymore, and the county has been fabulous in embracing and making sure that the animals are taken care of in this community. And we have always enjoyed a good relationship. I see this as it was a hiccup, misunderstanding, however you want to say, but we want to move forward. We want to continue this good relationship. More than 50%, sometimes 60% of our annual budget goes directly to the animals in the shelter. We have helped with programs, educational programs for the staff there. We have filled in the spaces that the county can't because of budget constraints. So we want to continue that and want to continue taking care of the animals. So we see this as a very positive thing. Rob and Linda have been wonderful in working through this issue, and we're grateful that we're going to have a good resolution, and we thank you.
Nothing to say, Kitty?
Oh,
She said it all.
I always have something to say. And yes, she did say it and said it well. But I just want everyone to know on a personal level, you know, that everything that we've been about, when I say we, the Peoria Humane Society, has been about our partnership. I've been there 30 years, and during that entire time, there's never been a moment where when the city or county came to us that we, you know, didn't think that we would work together. So it's been that thought, it's been that feeling personally, and then as an organization. So I want you to all know that we are here, you know, to be a partner and to work together and to really to better the community on every level. So for that, you know, I want to thank you for letting us continue to do that through this bequest and future donations. So just rest assured that we're here and we're in this together.
Thank you. As a community member and as a pet owner, I thank you for everything that you do, everything that Becky does. I think we have a tremendous organization and a great partnership, and I look forward to everything that we're going to do in the future. So thank you for coming, and hopefully you'll come back sometime. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions for the Humane Society? No? Okay. All those in favor of the resolution, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Next, we have a resolution for excess health insurance. Could I have a motion to put on the floor? Linda, and a second by Steve.
Okay, everybody's favorite topic. All right, so this is just our annual excess insurance package for the 2023 calendar and plan year. Those run simultaneously. Every year we work with our broker. They go out into the marketplace for us and they secure our excess insurance. We are self-insured. We pay the first $175,000 in claims, and then we have a little bit of a corridor deductible of $275,000, and then the insurance carrier pays any individual claims above and beyond those amounts. So we actually had a good renewal. We came in just under a 6% increase this year, which compared to market trends is really good. We're very pleased with that. We also came in significantly under budget as for what we had anticipated for 2023. I think we had budgeted somewhere upwards of over $800,000. So this package is at an estimated $669,100, and so we are just asking you to approve that and authorize us to bind that coverage.
Any questions? This is always a fun one to vote for. Any questions? All right. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. And our last resolution. Is the risk management excess insurance. Another fun one. Can I get a motion? Steve, and a second by Linda.
Okay, so same concept, but this is for the risk management fund. This is our excess coverage for our liability, workers' comp, property, all that whole insurance package that gets paid out of the risk management fund. So same concept. We are self-insured, as you know, for risk management. This is just our excess insurance coverage. And so we have in the packet authorizing us to bind coverage at a premium that is estimated at a little over $1 million, so $1,081,870. With that, there's one designation that I'd like to make. We do have a new excess policy that we are recommending approval of, and that is for $1 million in additional coverage for an active assailant. So if we were to have an active shooter at any of our insured locations, then that would give us additional liability coverage for our response and our actions during that event. In the original resolution and agenda briefing, that additional coverage, the estimated premium that's factored in is $18,000. We went back to the carrier and asked them for some clarification. We had met with Rob last week, and Scott had some additional questions as well. And it turns out that that $18,000 does not cover our school resource officers because they are not working at an insured county location. They're in one of the schools. So in order for us to extend that additional liability coverage to our school resource officers, that's an additional $4,500 in premium. So we are recommending that we add that component in. And so that is the revised agenda briefing and resolution that's at your tables today. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have that.
I did ask Shauna if that's something that the sheriff would entertain putting in future contracts with those institutions to help cover that extra cost. But at this point, a lot of those contracts have been executed in poor choice of words, but have already in play. So, does anybody have any questions on this? This was a new item that I had quite a few questions on. I just didn't know if. Yes, Steve.
I guess for the resource officers, that fee is for the current contracts we have, or the schools that we provide that service for today. So if we expand our services to additional schools for resource officers, would we have to come back and revisit this or not?
Give me just 1 second. Was that, did we have to give them a number of school resource officers?
No, it's just our resources. It's not the actual insured location. It would be just the SROs and their response.
Okay. So it's just for our employees that act as school resource officers. We did not have to give them a number. So I don't know that it's, hey, if we have 3 now and we're adding a 4th one, we would have to go back to them and ask them if there's additional premium for that. But they just said to extend that to that job title, I guess, because it's not at our location. But we can definitely clarify that.
Okay. Yeah, because I would think as an insurance carrier, they look at a lot of data and variables of number of schools, number of resource officers, locations, whatever, to come up with a premium. So I would think any of those variables start changing, they would probably want to revisit the premium, but it'd be good to know. Hopefully it wouldn't be significant, but at least to know if we have to adjust.
Sure.
And that's something for the sheriff also to understand as they're signing additional contracts. And as you said, Rob, I think it's good that the sheriff considers this cost into the future contracts.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's become a real thing. Do you know? I know I had asked if our officers respond to a retail establishment, and can we be held liable for decisions made there, and what coverage? If this doesn't cover it, do we have any coverage that does cover it?
So we do have general employee liability coverage. To speak to exactly every situation at this point, I couldn't do that. We'd have to pose that question. This is an additional policy above and beyond that amount. So we would really have to look to see if it was someone acting as a deputy or versus someone acting as a member of, for example, the MEG unit. There may be some differences depending on those contracts and things too. So my concern is that if they're recommending this policy, then clearly in other areas they've seen there's been some gaps, which is why this policy was developed. But I don't know in specific situations. I would assume probably not the amount of coverage that we would need.
And didn't you say that this is kind of in response to some of what Highland Park, what they're seeing up there now is some of the liabilities that those people are taking on?
Yes, so in the Highland Park shooting, what they're seeing now is the county sheriff's office was part of the initial response, or part of the extended response, and now in some of those lawsuits, they are being brought into those. And so this is additional coverage to help in those situations. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions additional? All right, first, I would need a motion to amend the resolution to include the extra $4,500 for the resource officers. So Linda, thank you. Second by Betty. So could I get all those approve on the amendment to the resolution? Please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And then now we will be voting on the resolution as amended. So all those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. Okay, we're at miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything for miscellaneous? No? Well, I just want to say more than likely this will be my last meeting as operations chairperson. And I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with all of you, especially Member Daly as the vice chair. I've learned a lot from you. I respect you.
Who was never allowed to chair the meeting. Yes, that's right.
You're out of order. I didn't recognize you. Thank you so much. I respect you. I do. And I cherish the friendship that we've developed through this. So thank you for help guiding me through all of these situations. So thank you. All right, we're adjourned.